Anybody who spends enough time with me probably knows by now that I spend a lot of time talking about EverQuest, especially when I'm playing World of Warcraft or another MMO. I'm usually complaining about various mechanics, and I always seem to relate it back to the original EverQuest and how that game worked and how much I liked it. You know, EverQuest was a big part of my teenage years, and I played it more than I'd like to admit. I pretty much played it right through the release of World of Warcraft until eventually World of Warcraft sort of took over all my EverQuest time. And while I did enjoy World of Warcraft in the early days, it slowly began to change and become more modern. I find myself with every WoW expansion always thinking back and wishing that WoW would become more like EverQuest, but it just seems to be going more and more in another direction, along with most of the other MMOs that I've played, which is at this point more or less all of them. I think if you ask anyone else who played EverQuest in those days, they would have a very similar things to say. It's really cliche to say, but it was more than just a game to all of us who played back then. I still have many friends from EverQuest that I continue to talk to this day. I led multiple guilds, I did thousands of raids, I met hundreds, if not thousands, of people. EverQuest and the communities I was a part of and the friends that I made during that time really shaped the way that I enjoy games. The way that I look at difficulty in games and the things that I expect from them really came from my early experiences with EverQuest. It wasn't only games, but online communities in real life, resolving conflicts, socialization in general. I really think that without EverQuest, I would be a different person. I could go on and on for hours about how much I loved EverQuest and how important it was to me, but I think I'll probably do that in another video. Today I really wanted to talk about Monsters and Memories, which, as you probably guessed from the footage in the background, is a MMO that's heavily inspired by EverQuest. It's made by a small company named Niche Worlds Cult. It's an MMO that's trying to go back to where MMOs started, rather than simply trying to pour money into making something that appeals to the largest number of people to get the highest number of subscriptions. It's trying to recapture the feeling that we haven't really had from an MMO since EverQuest, and something that I think a lot of people my age, as we've gotten older, really miss. And I think a lot of players who have only experienced the new modern type of MMO will probably appreciate. I know that if I had the resources and the time and the ability, this is something that I would have loved to make. So I'm really happy to see not just that someone else has taken this on, but at just how much it is like EverQuest. The art style, the combat, the emphasis on group play, it's very much a spiritual successor to EverQuest. And seeing the team behind it so in tune with the things that really made EverQuest so memorable makes me really excited to see how it turns out. From reading the dev blogs, watching the dev streams, and looking at the other information they have online, it's pretty clear that these are people who have a passion for EverQuest. And probably like me, they grew up playing EverQuest and have been hoping for these past 20 years that somebody would come along and make something similar. But when it never seemed to happen, it looks like they've decided to take it upon themselves. They're definitely hitting all the right notes for nostalgia. The spell effects, the sound effects, even the models and races and classes all seem familiar. There are some new classes and new things that we haven't seen before, but also there's, of course, tons of stuff that we have seen before, things we already know we love. The whole reason for making something like this is to bring back things that we already knew we loved about EverQuest. I think trying to reinvent the genre constantly was one of the failures of a lot of earlier MMOs after EverQuest. They were always trying to sand off the rough edges, but they just end up losing the unique shape that makes MMOs feel so different from other games. I think that what worked so well back then for EverQuest can probably work just as well now, especially in today's gaming climate where I think people are looking for a challenge and for meaningful progression. People are tired of having their hand held through everything, People are tired of getting achievements for doing nothing. And I think people are eager to have an unknown world to explore and friends to explore it with.